Hey folks, Big Deano here again. This time taking a look at another one of Funko's lines. This is their Game of Thrones series. And this is Jon Snow, everyone's lovable, illegitimate son, now resurrected from the dead zombie killer. And yeah, this figure is far from perfect. Let me tell you. Before we get into Jon Snow himself, here's the look at the box. You've got the Stark emblem right there. You've got age 17 plus, so they're aiming it towards adult collectors. Jon Snow Funko on there. You've got a picture on the back, if I can get a good look at it, which bears very little to no resemblance of the figure's design whatsoever. And you've got everyone in the first series. I believe they done 2, maybe 3 of these and then stopped. I don't know why. I think HBO just didn't like the figures, because as we'll see when we get to him, they have some problems. Yes, you have Jon Snow on the side again, and the number 1 on the top with the Game of Thrones logo, because this was the very first figure they ever released. Now, on to Jon Snow himself, who, as you can see, he stands quite well, I will give them that. However, let us just have a look at that face, shall we? Yeah, I don't know what they were going for. They definitely weren't going for Kit Harington when they sculpted that. I'll tell you that much. They did get his signature curls quite well done, although they are a bit glossy. Were they going for greasy? I don't know. His beard, though, that is just that's quite horrendous, I'll be honest. It looks as if someone's attempted to draw it in with marker. Jeez, oh. Maybe I'm being a bit too hard on him, I don't know. These were the first figures Funko ever made that were actually articulated, and as you possibly already seen by my review of the Legacy Skyrim and Fallout figures, they've kind of learned their lesson from it. But anyway, back to Jon Snow. You'll see this is a nice soft rubber material. Really well put together, that one. And as you can see, it doesn't really hinder articulation all that much, which I was surprised about. When I seen the big cape that was going to be on him, I thought, you know, he's going to be a statue, but no, both sides are actually really easy to move out the way. I'm quite surprised by that, honestly. Yeah. Basically, the design of it's good. I'll give them that. Apart from the back looks as if somebody's just got a paintbrush, dabbed some white paint on it, and then just went boop, 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 just randomly. Not even randomly, it looks as if they've just done it in a line across everywhere, and it's very noticeable. They should have just left that bit out and just had the bottom bit, because that looks a lot better. That's supposed to be snow, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed. There's a bit on the boots as well. I would have expected some more on the boots, seeing as how the cape and further up actually has more snow on it than like the rest of the body combined. But yeah, anyway, design's quite well done, apart from the head. In terms of execution, basically articulation, he's not so good. But before we get into that, let's take a look at his sword. You may be wondering why I'm not taking that out. That's because the hand is so incredibly stiff that I'm afraid it will just shatter into a million pieces if I try and open the grip again. The sword can fit into its scabbard though. It fits quite well actually, so kudos to them for that. Funko does like their scabbards. You will see, going on to the articulation, this is where the problems start to show. That is clear plastic, and that design is on every single joint of this guy. I am not kidding. You can tell that Funko were not aware of the brittleness of clear plastic when they started producing action figures. You can tell they were doing statues before this. You really can. Yeah, every single joint. You open it up there, there's clear plastic. You open his neck, if I can get into it, there's clear plastic in there. You look at his hips, lo and behold, there's more clear plastic. Seriously, I've heard so many horror stories of the Hound figure from this set and Tyrion Lannister just snapping in half straight out of the packet. That's probably why this guy was going cheap. Yeah, basically that was a big boo-boo. As you've seen from my Skyrim and Fallout 4 figures, they seem to have stopped using the clear plastic. But this was definitely a learning curve for them. I mean, even the knees, you can see that they've tried to hide it in certain places, but you can tell once you start moving the joints about that it's just painted up to a certain point. Oh, jeez, oh. Was the normal plastic just too hard to come by, Funko? I don't know. Anyway, in terms of actual articulation, ones which I'm not comfortable actually moving, I'll be honest with you, he's got quite a strange double ball peg in the head. I know that because I popped it off. You'll see why in a moment. But he's got a double ball peg, which can look down quite far, and it can actually look up an alright amount, but it kind of pops back down the way. In terms of arms, you can bring it up to about there. You can get movement up to about there, but it starts looking a bit strange because the cape just lifts off. It's got a single jointed elbow. This one is incredibly tight and I am very afraid of bending it at all. I think the paint might be stuck in there, which will inevitably lead to the plastic's breakage. You can get about 90 degrees. This one does actually move. It's got a swivel at the elbow, which isn't bad, and it's got a hinge and swivel at the wrist. The wrist goes back and forth. Again, clear plastic on the joint. He's got decent abs, really decent abs actually. You can look down really far. You can look up really far as well, but the cape kind of gets in the way. It also swivels. The knees, not knees, the legs can pretty much do the splits. They are well designed figures, just with bloody clear plastic in the joints. Oh man. Yeah, they can kick forward really far. Knees, double jointed knees. They have kind of borrowed some of the articulation from Hasbro, I think, because some of these joints really remind me of Star Wars Black Series or Marvel Legends, I think. And finally he has toe joint, not a toe joint, there's no toe joint there, a foot joint which can go down and up, and it does have kind of an ankle rocker, but it's an awkward ankle rocker. You need to kind of manoeuvre the foot round a wee bit before it'll actually do it. But yeah, in terms of on your shelf, he does look good. He stands really well. It's just a shame of that face. But yeah, if you want a figure that's currently going cheap and you're not too fussed about the face, if you'd rather just think it's a book Jon Snow, then by all means I would go for it. Oh, I just realised these aren't actually moulded, they're separate pieces. Yeah, so it's alright standing there, but for the love of God, do not move the joints too much. You will see them break at some point. But yeah, I did buy 2 more figures. One was Tyrion, who I've unfortunately misplaced the box for. I don't know where it is. I bought him just before Christmas time. And I also bought Ned Stark. Now, you'll see why Ned isn't getting a review, per se. When I opened Ned, and I forgot to send him back, by the way. When I opened Ned, the body was like that, with a screwball knee. Just like in the show. But yeah, it had a screwball knee. And it had a head with no goddamn hair. Seriously? It was a brand new figure. The tape hadn't been cut on it, but for whatever reason, that's how he came. Yeah, I was thinking of maybe taking this body, shoving Jon Snow's head on it and calling it the new type of Jon Snow. But I gave up on that idea, really. He comes with 2 swords. Just a mini review of this guy. 2 swords, one that looks nice in the holster, and one that's the actual size of Ned Stark's sword in the show. Apparently they couldn't decide whether to make a massive sheath for the massive sword or not. But yeah. I think that will about do it, guys. So, until next time. Oh, for goodness sake, stand up. Yeah, so until next time, I'll see y'all later, guys.